Hi, my name is TG Trooper and my guest today is Gemma O'Donoghue, and we are here to discuss her latest book, In the Company of Shadows. I'm a little way through this book and I am intrigued, to say the least. It is a very interesting story and I will let Gemma tell you all about it. With my clipboard that I always have to have, otherwise I forget things. So, what inspired you to write In the Company of Shadows?
Well, that was kind of an unusual story because I used to work at a school as a teaching assistant.
Okay.
So I used to look after kids with disabilities and things like that. So basically I was in the classroom one day and we were trying to name this doll, and I was just writing random words on the whiteboard, and at the end of the class, like 2 words were left as I was wiping away, and it was Landmine Butcher, and it just captured my imagination, and I started doing like little doodles of this character. And then it kind of, I was like, oh, actually, maybe I could make it a graphic novel. And I got a little bit of a way into that, and then I realised my art talents with Photoshop aren't anywhere near as good as my writing ability. So I thought I'll just switch it to a novel format instead.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's good. So what's it about?
So it's set 500 years in the future on a planet called Diomedia. Humans have resettled there after the world has gone to poo. And there's these creatures there called shades, which are like parasites, and they can infect humans and change them into these feral creatures. And it's not a curable disease. Once you have these parasites, you're pretty much done for after a couple of years. But also with the parasites, actually, when they're inside bodies, not necessarily human bodies, but animal bodies, they're actually a very good fuel source.
Yeah,
so
that's intriguing. Where did that come from?
I don't know where that came from. That was just something I pulled out because I don't know. I really like zombie films and things like that. And I was thinking, like, sometimes in the catch fire, they really light up, and I was like, oh, I wonder if they could use that as a fuel source.
Yes, interesting take.
Yeah.
Interesting. So would you consider this science fiction or fantasy?
I'd say maybe it's soft science fiction.
Soft science fiction.
So yeah, I'm not really a scientist per se. I've done quite a bit of research for it to try and flesh it out a bit, but like really it's not the hard sci-fi of a child of our time, or like I find them a little bit hard to read myself personally. So I kind of, it's a little bit fantasy but probably more soft sci-fi, I would say.
Soft sci-fi. On the edge of fantasy.
Yeah. Like that. So.
Okay. Which character of your book do you most closely identify with and why?
Oh, okay. So there's a female hunter of these shade creatures called Long Rider. So she's the one I closely associate with, because when I was writing her, I was like trying to think of how I would react in situations. But I'd say also maybe she's a cooler version of me because she's very tough, which I'm not, I suppose. But apart from that, her thought process is quite like methodical. Like she's like sticking to the rules, sort of thing, which is kind of like a kind of counterpoint with the other character, who's kind of a bit of a rule breaker, bad boy, kind of a little bit rough around the edges guy. So she kind of clashes against him a bit.
Okay. So based on any personal experiences?
Actually, based on my husband.
We can edit that bit out.
Yeah, maybe. He knows it's him. It's like just like a hyped up version of him. It's not like it's not always like that.
So, which came first, the plot or the characters?
Well, actually, the characters came first. So I thought of the Landmine Butcher thing from when I was at the school, and then I just thought, oh, as a counterpoint, could there be another character like him as a hunter, like a female hunter? And then I started drawing her as well. And then after that point, I was like, oh, these characters deserve a good story. So then I sat down to writing a plot about them on this world, and them actually catching the creatures, and then involved in issues because a lot of people don't like the black energy and killing of animals, so there's a lot of violence around it. So so I thought I'd create a story about that.
Okay. How do you approach the world building in your writing?
So that one I had to actually do quite a bit of research on, just about exoplanets and how people would find them and what potential things you would need to support life and where we might consider going. So I created the planet based off that. And also my husband's very interested in army stuff, so we have quite a lot of gas masks and things like lying around. So I have used that as a basis for some of their clothing as well.
Okay.
As a reference point.
Reference point inspiration,
Yeah.
If your book was made into a film, who would be your dream cast and who would be the main characters? Who'd you go, yes, that's the person I want to play the main character? Who would those be?
Okay. Well, I would say it's probably Chris Pratt would be a good landmine butcher, because he's got that kind of jokey around attitude.
I love his stuff.
Yeah, like he was great in Guardians of the Galaxy, so like when I saw that film, I was like, oh, that's kind of how I imagined Landmine Butcher behaving. So,
because he can do the funny and serious at the same time. Not many people can do that, can they?
No, I wouldn't say so. It's quite a tough thing to do. So,
what's the one thing you know now that you wish you'd known when you started writing?
That it's probably easier to write a good plot and the summary and synopsis before you actually start writing, which I didn't really do as much with my first book. I wrote I think it was 2 or 3 pages of synopsis, and then I started writing, and in my subsequent books I've much longer, 20-30 pages of synopsis, character outlines and things.
So do you plan your books, or because I just write whatever comes into my head? And I've tried planning and I've failed miserably at it. What do you do?
I think I'm more of a plotter than a pantser.
Right.
I used to be a pantser, but I think it's easier to write the plot first, and then there's less edits. I had lots of rounds of edits for this book in comparison to my other one, just because I planned it out so much that I kind of knew as I was going along where it was going to go. So I think it's easier to plot.
Sometimes I have the ending and working towards it. Other times I have just no idea.
You just write. Just carry on going.
What do you find most enjoyable about writing?
I would say probably the escapism. Literally hours can go when I'm really involved in a plot point. Sometimes you look at the clock and an hour has gone past and you're where has that gone?
Yes.
So that's what I enjoy about writing. It's kind of like a de-stressing thing. Well, when the writing's going well. Not writer's block, that's another problem.
So what do you least like about writing?
I would say probably once the finished piece is done, the marketing can be a bit rough.
Everybody says that. It's just the marketing. Somebody just take it all away and do it for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Without me having to pay you a fortune to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
A fairy godmother is what we need, or somebody's really rich, got lots of money and looking for a tax break.
Yeah, I would say so. Someone's who's a bit salesy, because I would say marketing is kind of more of a sales thing, which a certain personality is very good at, but just fortunately when you're a writer it tends not to be the forefront.
It tends to be the opposite.
Yeah.
What's one writing rule that you believe in that you think should be broken?
Writing rule that should be broken. I would say probably some writers will tell you not to use adverbs. I think that's maybe just a rule for beginning writers, just so you're not using it in every sentence.
Yeah.
I would say every so often it enhances the plot of what you're trying to write, to occasionally use a quickly or...
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the ly.
Yeah, or slowly or...
How do you, presumably you still work, how do you balance writing against your career?
That's a tricky one actually. I work in quite a fast-paced job, I would say. It's based in London, but I'm not always in London. But it is quite long hours, from 8 till sometimes 7, 8 at night. So in the week, I sometimes sneak in maybe 1 or 2 hours before I start work. Writing, but it's mostly on the weekends. But that can be tricky because I suppose weekends are more like social things as well. You need to try and fit it around, so it can be tricky. I try to carve out at least a few hours a week to be able to write. So.
What are you currently working on? Is there a sequel?
Not a sequel at the moment. I'm writing a new book. So it's called Exile from Rikin. It's at the stage where I've started to query some agents.
Right.
And it's another soft sci-fi, but set in modern day, actually around Essex.
Okay.
So there might be some familiar things if you're Essex based
Mhm.
in there, just because I live around that area.
Yeah.
So that's kind of basically an alien who's crash landed on Earth and trying to integrate with the locals.
Make his way to the sugar hut in Brentwood.
Yeah.
No, so all the weirdos
No.
all the weirdos are already here.
Yeah. Be a perfect place to blend in though.
It would be, wouldn't it? Yeah. What advice would you give to aspiring writers?
I would say learn how to be a plotter. I think it's a lot easier. I know you don't, but I do feel like it is an easier process. For the whole writing thing and knowing where you're going, and less writer's block potentially if you've
Possibly if you
Potentially.
know where you're going. And finally, where can people buy your book?
So you can buy it online on Amazon or Waterstones, the usual places. Also, I'm trying to attend a few more book fairs as well. There's the one upcoming on the 13th of September.
There is.
Where is that again? Sorry.
Kelvedon.
In Kelvedon.
Kelvedon Labour Club on the 13th of September, which is Saturday. Free to enter. Do come along. There will be a link in the description of the YouTube video. And thank you, Gemma O'Donoghue.
Thank you.
Thank you.